Ekezie every Monday, 3 o'clock p.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Saturday, 10 a.m.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from, please like, subscribe, and share. Right, hit the subscribe button right here. Thank you.
Parties on political process, views of labor leaders, and most importantly, your views. Views of the common Nigerian. Tune in to Ebonade 103.5 FM or you join online via mixlr.com/gistfm every Monday and Saturday. What are your political views? Keep the dates.
Yes, Chairman of Board of Trustee for Pan Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, Victor Atta criticized the scrap of the Niger Delta Ministry, but the federal government wants to ensure concurrent, development for all regions in Nigeria. Good morning and welcome to Political Views on Ebona, the 103.5 FM, Ogidi. I am Martin Ifeanyichukwu Ekezie. On this edition, Amnesty International applauded federal government rejection of $1.3 billion sale of Shell's onshore assets. The Nigerian Central Bank is considering issuance of U.S. diasporan bond. The central bank is making that consideration about U.S. diasporan bond option by next year. As we speak, the conduct of local government elections is ongoing in Kaduna State. Also, 5 bodies was recovered from the helicopter crash in Port Harcourt, and the search for more bodies is ongoing as the helicopter, which was engaged by NMPCL, had 8 persons on board. A lot is happening, today in the political space in Nigeria today. So let's dive in. Let me bring you up to speed on the happenings on our political space this morning. The headlines: Niger announces 80,000 naira minimum wage effective November. Bianca Ojukwu's appointment raises hope for Nnamdi Kanu's release. 3 Benue local government chairmen fall off motorbikes. Police, Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps officers fight in Osun, sustain injuries. Tinubu orders approve into Rivers helicopter crash, condoles families. Police confirm gunmen attack near NAU, Anambra. No deadline on old Naira notes, says CBN on reps pushes. as reps pushes for new ones. No deadline on old Naira notes, says CBN, as reps pushes for new ones. 2027, I will form alliance with North. Tinubu betrayed me, Asare Dokubo. Expert urge federal government to tackle oil theft with technology. Calls for military intervention. Misery. Harsh policies driving Nigerians to desperate choices. Court picks November 14th, 20th to hear from Yahaya Bello. Now, the details. It's time, to make sense of all that is going on in our political space, as the first story we have for you on this particular edition of Political Views on Ebonadi 103.5 FM is Niger announces 80,000 naira minimum wage effective November. Governor Muhammad Bago of Niger State has approved a new minimum wage of 80,000 naira set to take effect in November 2024. Speaking after a meeting between the state government and labor union leaders, Bago assured that the wage increase is sustainable, citing the government's agricultural initiatives. This is sustainable. With our progress in agriculture, I am confident we can maintain it. In fact, with the introduction of civil service farms, we could eventually pay up to 1 million as minimum wage, Bago said. The governor confirmed that the new wage would apply to both state and local government employees, adding that October salaries have already been disbursed and the new rate will start in November. Idris Lafene, chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress in Niger State, expressed satisfaction with the development, stating that the governor exceeded the union's expectations. Niger is now among the leading states to implement a higher minimum wage, Lafene said. While acknowledging the wage hike as a progress, he added, it's not enough to buy a bag of rice, but is a step forward, he stated. Now, the next story we have for you this morning is Bianca Ojukwu's appointment raises hope for Nnamdi Kanu's release. Southeast reconciliation. Amid the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's appointment of Bianca Ojukwu as the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs has sparked debate among stakeholders who viewed it as a step forward, a step toward national healing between the Southeast and Nigeria in general. Newsman recalls that Tinubu reshuffled his cabinet in a mid-term shakeup with 5 ministers appointed, 7 removed from their positions, and 10 reassigned to new portfolios. Bianca joined other Southeastern ministers, including Doris Uzoka Anite, Minister of State for Finance, Ozo Nnaji, Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, and David Umahi, Minister of Works. While some see Bianca's ministerial appointment as a strategic move, Kashi Ononuju, Director General of the Heritage Center, a think tank focused on research into economics, politics, and opinions, noted that the president recognizes the need for national healing, hence her appointment. Speaking with newsmen, Ononuju stated, the president understands now that what brought him to office was a political party, and he is now working on an attempt to heal the country. So the strategies previously used are no longer effective, as he is now seeking unity. Don't forget, he's aiming for a second term, so appointing Bianca is understandable. But we should also understand that Bianca is not a magic wand. Inclusion comes through actions, not just appointments. Bianca, at best, represents a memory, not the realities facing people alive today. The appointment of Bianca is thoughtful of the president, but creating hope and backing it up with action are two different things. Appointing Bianca is good, but will he follow through on what such an appointment might open up? Actions must validate the rhetoric. As with the ministers who were removed, if the president has set an example, they would have naturally aligned. Even with Bianca's appointment, he must treat her in a way that her constituents feels truly included, which requires more than just rhetoric. For Buhari, it was rhetoric, but actions were often disappointing and at times insulting. Now that we have a divided country in need of healing, Bianca's appointment shows the president's recognition of this need, but appointing someone like Bianca also calls for follow through actions. Now, Ononuju minimized Bianca's potential influence in advocating for a political solution for Kano's release, insisting that only the Nigerian government can decide on a negotiated release for the IPOB leader. Still on the happenings on our political space this morning, 3 Benue local government chairmen fall off motorbikes. The Benue state government's failure to provide official vehicles to newly elected local government chairmen across 23 council areas has sparked concern over their security and safety. It was gathered that many chairmen have turned to using motorbikes to commute to work, highlighting the risk they face. Sources who spoke with newsmen said no fewer than 3 of the chairmen names withheld have been involved in motorcycle accidents, leading to minor injuries and dislocations. It was gathered that the council chairmen resorted to carrying out their official duties using motorcycles as they could no longer pay for the vehicles which they have been using on hired basis since inauguration. Recall that the council elections were held on October 6 with the ruling All Progressive Congress winning all the 23 chairmanship seats as well as 276 councillorship positions. However, about 3 weeks after they were issued with certificates of return by the chairman of the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission, Richard Tobomua, the state government has yet to empower the chairman with official vehicles. A source said one of the council chairmen was not lucky as he sustained injury in the accident involving him and the motorcycle riders conveying him to office. It's sad that about 3 weeks after securing landslide victories in their respective councils, the 23 chairmen have not been given official vehicles to enable them hit the ground running. Due to the passion, many of the newly elected local government chief executives have resorted to plying what is known in local palace as Okada. From the feelers I got, 3 of the council chairmen have since fallen off these means of transportation, sustaining varying degrees of injuries. One of them even suffered dislocation and has since been receiving treatment, he said. And the next story we have for you this morning, police, Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps officers fight in Osun, sustain injuries. Officers of the Nigerian Police and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps have been engaged in public brawl in Osogbo, the capital of Osun State, allegedly inflicting injuries on themselves while brandishing guns. A video cited by newsmen show some men wearing mufti with jackets bearing police inscription beating up a uniformed civil defense officer and tearing his uniform, even as the Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps operative made efforts to defend himself before he was rescued on Tuesday night. However, the civil defense officer was later arrested by the police after its officers called for reinforcement the next day, Wednesday, October 23rd, 2023, over the alleged refusal by the civil defense operatives to allow police officers to arrest suspects at Elizabeth Estate in Osogbo. Meanwhile, the police and the Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps commands in Osun have accused each other of brutality while giving different narratives of the incident. While the Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps, in a statement issued on Friday by its public relations officer, Kainde Adeleke, claimed that the police officers assaulted its operatives, inflicting injuries on him and causing him bodily harm. The police spokesperson, Yemisi Opalalola, alleged that the civil defense personnel beat up and injured two police officers and deflated the tires of their vehicle. Adeleke said a disturbing incident of barbaric police brutality occurred on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, around 8 p.m. at Elizabeth Estate in Oshobo, Osun State, when a group of individuals claiming to be police officers in Ankara clothes with only jackets on top drove recklessly into the estate with a private Sienna vehicle, entered the estate, which is secured by the personnel of Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Osun State Command to purportedly arrest a suspect. The personnel of the Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps on duty as trained officers requested means of identification which the individuals who claimed to be policemen failed to provide. Instead, they resorted to intimidation. After their failure to identify themselves, they left their premises of the estate. The situation escalated the following day, Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024, when a group of police officers numbering about 20 drove into the estate and descended on one Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps personnel, physically assaulting him, inflicting grievous bodily harm on him. The video of the incident is attached to the statement. The officer's uniform was torn. He was brutalized beyond the description, disarmed, handcuffed like a common criminal, and forcefully taken to Atoja Division before being moved to the police state headquarters. Efforts to resolve the issues amicably were made by the commandant of the Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps, Osun State Command, Mr. Michael Aderoale, who raised a team of senior officers who visited the police headquarters. However, the police refused to release the detained Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps personnel. They concocted unfounded lies of deflation of their vehicle tires. When the team asked if the same vehicle was still at the scene, they said no. Then the question was, we asked where if any vulcanizer fixed the tires. No was the answer. The team also demanded to know if the vehicle was towed. The answer was also negative. The big question then is, how did the vehicle that conveyed the policemen leave the incident scene? Unfortunately, despite assurance by the police team that immediately Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps confirmed the identity of the officers in their custody, he would be released. A confirmation letter was taken to the police state headquarters, yet they never released him since Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. He was just released this afternoon, as at yesterday, Friday, after he had been made to undergo more humiliating treatment in the hands of policemen on duty. He stated, still on the happenings on our political space this morning, Tinubu orders probe into Rivers helicopter crash, condoles families. President Bola Tinubu has expressed condolences to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the families of the victims involved in the helicopter crash near Boni Finima, Rivers State. In a statement issued Friday by Bayo Ananuga, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Tinubu offered his deepest sympathies to those affected by the tragedy. The president also directed intensified search and rescue efforts to recover any remaining passengers or evidence from the accident site. The helicopter, operated by East Wings Aviation with a registration 5NBQG, crashed into the Atlantic Ocean on Thursday while transporting NMPC contract staff to the FPSO NUIMS ANTAN facility. Tinubu urged military officers operating in the region to join the rescue mission in coordination with the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and other relevant agencies. He emphasized that the government's commitment to uncover the cause of the incident and provide closure to the family. I fervently pray that the Almighty God grants eternal rest to the departed souls and comfort their families, Tinubu said, acknowledging the tragic loss of life. The Rivers State Police Command confirmed the crash, stating that 2 crew members and 6 passengers were on board the ill-fated helicopter. The Police and Marine Division, alongside other agencies, has launched recovery operations. And the next story we have for you this morning, police confirm gunmen attack near Nnamdi Kanu University, Anambra. The Anambra State Police Command has confirmed the attack by gunmen near the school gate of the Nnamdi Kanu University, Oka, on Thursday. The spokesman for the Anambra State Police Command, SP Ojukwu Ekezie, confirmed the attack in a statement, adding that security operatives had condoned off the area and calm had returned. The police response team has taken over the scene of indiscriminate shooting today, uh, Thursday, 24/10/2024 by 9:15 a.m. at Ifite, behind Unizik Gate, Oka, by suspected gunmen, Ekezie said. Preliminary information showed that the armed men started shooting sporadically and some bullets fatally hit 4 persons in the area and were rushed to hospital for first aid by the police operatives. Also, some empty shells of bullets have been recovered at the scene. Meanwhile, operations are ongoing in the area and further details shall be communicated, he stated. Still on our political space this morning, no deadline on old Naira notes, says CBN as reps pushes for new ones. The Central Bank of Nigeria yesterday dismissed insinuation that the old series of the 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira notes, banknotes would cease to exist at the end of this year, citing a November 29, 2023 Supreme Court order that extended the use of the notes indefinitely. Recall that on November 29, 2023, the Supreme Court ruled that old and new Naira notes will coexist as legal tender until further notice, according to the CBN, is directive to all its branches to continue to issue and accept all denominations of Nigerian banknotes and old and redesigned to and from deposit money banks remains in force. We therefore advise members of the public to disregard suggestions that the said series of banknotes will cease to be legal tender on December 31st, 2024. We urge Nigerians to continue to accept all Naira banknotes, old or redesigned, for their day-to-day transactions and handle them with the utmost care to safeguard and protect their life cycle. The CBN added in a statement issued by its acting director of corporate communications, Mrs. Sidi Ali Hakama. Earlier, the House of Representatives had urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to issue more 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira new notes, while also asking the Apex Bank to commence the gradual withdrawal of the old notes from circulation before December 31st, 2024 deadline. Also, the Federal High Court in Lagos has dismissed a suit praying that the Arabic inscriptions on naira notes be removed. The lawmakers warned that Nigerians will be plunged into more chaotic situation than what happened in February 2023 when the old 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira notes chassis to be legal tender from January 1st, 2025. In a motion of urgent national importance sponsored by AFAM, Victor Ogene, the Green Chamber appealed to the CBN to order commercial banks to forthwith stop cash payment to their customers with old 200, 500, and 1,000 naira notes, but engage in gradual mopping up of the old notes. Ogene recalled the hardship and chaotic situation occasioned by the CBN change of currency color in 2023. He also reminded his colleagues of the scarcity of naira notes that led to the untold hardship across the country as a result of the CBN's inability to supply new versions of the changed notes. The lawmaker had noted that going by the Supreme Court's subsequent ruling, the 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira notes shall cease to be legal tender and shall also cease to be in circulation as from January 1st, 2025. He expressed concern that the CBN had not kickstarted any awareness program to remind Nigerians about the policy to make them prepare for the December 31st, 2024 deadline. The House directed its Committee on Banking Regulations to ensure compliance and report back within 21 days. Justice Yelim Bagoro declared that the Lagos-based lawyer Malcolm Omorobo, who filed the suit, failed to prove that the use of Arabic inscriptions on the Naira notes by CBN was in bad faith. The lawyer had filed a suit contending that having Arabic inscriptions on the Naira notes portrayed Nigeria as an Islamic state, contrary to the country's constitutional status of a secular state. Omorobo, who said he did not know what the Arabic inscription means, prayed the court to order the CBN to replace the inscription with either English, which is Nigeria's official language, or any of the country's three main indigenous languages, Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbo. Still on the happenings on our political space this morning, 2027, I will form alliance with North. Tinubu betrayed me. Asare Dokubo. Former militant leader Asare Dokubo has vowed to form an alliance with the North ahead of the 2027 presidential election. Asare made the remark while accusing President Bola Tinubu of betrayal after working for his emergence as Nigerian president in 2023. The former militant leader recounted how he spent his money canvassing for votes for Tinubu during the 2023 presidential election, only to be betrayed. Addressing his followers in a viral video, he recalled charging Nigerians to hold him accountable if Tinubu failed as president. He said, I apologize to our fathers because they were not wrong in forming an alliance with the North. And as young men, we will now start the same alliance. From today, I will work and form an alliance with the North. President Tinubu betrayed me after I spent all my money and emptied my bank account campaigning for him. The Tinubu I know now isn't the Tinubu I used to know. We will take this message across that only the Northerners can work with the Ijaw people. We can't work with Yoruba people. They are a betrayer to us. We risk our life by voting and doing everything, and this is what we get. This is coming amid a report of alliance among the opposition political parties in the country. We can't work with Yoruba people, as he stated. They are betrayer to us. We risk our lives by voting and doing everything, and this is what we get. He stated. This is coming amid reports of an alliance among the opposition political parties in the country. In January, political scientist Pat Otomi announced that he consulted with the PDP's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, Labour Party candidate Peter Obi, and the NMPP's Rabiu Kwankwaso on the possibility of forming a new political party. Recently, Otomi affirmed that Atiku, Kwankwaso, and Obi have agreed to form a political party that would oust President Bola Tinubu from power in 2027. Still on our political space this morning, expert urges the federal government to tackle oil theft with technology. Robotics and renewable energy expert Professor Godswill Ofulaba has urged the federal government to deploy smart technologies in solving the perennial pipeline vandalism and oil theft crisis in the Niger Delta region. This was as the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria noted that oil theft syndicates and criminals network had long diverted Nigerians' valuable natural resources, affecting the country's economic stability. Ofulaba therefore urged the government to deploy the automated oil and gas pipeline vandalization detection system, which he developed with colleagues to curb the oil theft and the pipeline vandalism in the Niger Delta region. Delivering the seventh inaugural lecture at the Federal University of Petroleum Resources, Ifuron, Delta State, with the title The Tripod of Renewables, Robotics, and Automation, they discovered, and they recovered. The Don said Nigeria was losing over $11 million daily from oil theft, profiling the high-tech should be deployed in oil pipeline surveillance. He described the pipeline vandalism detection system as a game changer in the battle against oil theft. as it can detect act disturbance during pipeline vandalism in real time and alert monitoring stations and mobile phones. According to Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Nigeria is losing $11 million daily, $349 million monthly, and $4.2 billion yearly to pipeline vandalism. The automated oil and gas pipeline vandalization detection system works by detecting the earth vibration signals unique to ground digging by pipeline vandals using custom designed sensing units buried underground 200 meters apart above the buried pipeline, he explained. Human Rights Writers Association praised the intensified efforts of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited in tackling crude oil theft and pipeline vandalism, particularly in the Niger Delta. At a briefing in Abuja, the national coordinator, Emmanuel Onwubiko, commended the coordinated approach adopted by the security agencies, stressing that such collaboration with the NMPCL was essential in curbing the widespread theft of Nigeria's crude oil. Still on the happenings on our political space this morning, calls for military intervention, misery, harsh policies driving Nigerians to desperate choices. The return to civilian rule in 1999 went down as a watershed in the annals of Nigerian history, but 25 years later, democracy, as a practice by most Nigerian politicians, has bequeathed the country a legacy of waste, unfulfilled dreams, and horrible developmental credentials, which have left the people nonplussed and hopeless. Stricto stricto sensu, the consensus is that in the last 2 decades or thereabout, Nigerians' lives have taken a turn for the worse, as confirmed by the country's plunging misery index. This index also finds expression in over 130 million citizens being plunged into multidimensional poverty, the uncontrollable rise in inflation, the leaping unemployment rate, and the widespread insecurity. Beyond the saprophytic lifestyle that most Nigerian politicians live, they also thrive in selling fantasies and lies to the electorate, with only an infinite percentage of them operating above board. Across the country, many elected office holders are famed for poor service delivery, adept in deception, and do not care a hoot about a dent in their reputation as a special breed of individuals whose mindsets cannot be gleaned from what they say when on the soapbox. They have also left enough conviction that their promise of a perfect society should never be taken seriously because, with most of them, what is preached is worlds apart from what is practiced. Indeed, the long suffering nature of the Nigerian people has made is Indeed, the long-suffering nature of the Nigerian people has made it possible for the political class to clown around in the name of governance, taking the people on a lengthy ride while they do everything humanly possible to guarantee their comfort and that of their immediate family members and cronies with their hefty monthly pay, even when members of the electorate, including pensioners, are unpaid for several months. It is clear to all that for career politicians, service to the people is secondary to service to themselves. And the last story we have for you this morning, before you can call in and tell us what you think of all of this, is court picks November 14th, 20th to hear from Yahaya Bello. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission yesterday sought adjournment of hearing in its fresh charge against the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, and two others to November 14th. The co-defendants in the 16-count fresh charge are Umar Shaibu Orisha and Abu Salami Hudu. At the resumed sitting yesterday, Rotimi Oyedepo San, who appeared for the EFCC, reminded the court that at last the adjourned date, the court issued a public summons against the first defendants, directing that same be published, and the charged passed. The presiding judge, Justice Mary Ann E. Anene, however, interjected, stating that she did not ask the charged be passed, but only issued a public summons. Oyedebo urged the court to adjourn the case to November 14th, noting that Bello still had until that day to comply with the summons. The senior lawyer said he expected the first defendant to be in court on November 14th, making references to the 30-day duration of the summons, and therefore sought for adjournment till November 14th for the arraignment of the three defendants. J.B. Daudu San, who appeared for the second defendant, objected to this. He said the matter was for arraignment and that they were ready, noting that the defendants were all independent and should be so treated. You cannot be using somebody as human shield when they are not in hostage. I don't like this practice, he said. A.M. Aliu San, who represented the third defendant, aligned with Daudu and submitted that in the alternative, he would be asking the court to take his client's application for bail. Oyedebo, however, said the bail application could not be taken as the charge was joint, insisting that the court should adjourn to November 14th. The EFCC lawyer notified the court that there was an application for the enforcement of the fundamental rights of the second defendant, and the oral application could not be taken. The second defendant's counsel, Daudu, however, insisted that the move neglected the principles of fair hearing. Though the judge refused the oral bail application, she said that the defendant should come formally by filing out applications in writing. Well, there you have it. Members of the Joint Health Sector Union announced a 7-day strike over non-implementation of consolidated health salary structure. The strike will commence from midnight today, October 26, 2024. With the current hardship, ravaging the country today, what is your take on that? And also, when we're also going to look into this issue of Bianca Ojukwu's appointment raises hope for Nnamdi Kanu's release, Southeast reconciliation. We have a lot to talk about this morning because all that is happening in the corridors of power affects you and me in one way or the other, and it affects us massively, and we must talk about it. So, what is your opinion on the happenings on our political space this morning? To become part of the conversation, remember that you can become part of it by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 08065796599. You can as well call us on the same number 08